Welcome, friends, to the animation experience at Conservation Station. Since the 1930s, Disney animators have put their pencils to paper in service of the idea that the greatest inspiration often comes from the magic of nature. Walt Disney himself understood the importance of spending time around animals, studying their behavior and personalities in order to create realistic characters and dynamic storylines. This meeting of the human and animal worlds sparked a legacy of storytelling that has shaped our relationship with animals and conservation forever. Today, we invite you to become a part of that legacy as our own Disney artists help you learn to sketch characters inspired by the very animals found here at Disney's Animal Kingdom. Get your pencils ready, because here comes our animation artist now.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the animation experience here at Conservation Station. How's everybody doing today? Awesome. Who is here for the very first time to the animation experience? There's a lot of newbies, and I know there's some familiar faces out there, so nice to see you guys coming back. For those of you that are new, let's go over a couple things with you before we get started. First, we need to make sure we have everything needed to draw a character, like a clipboard, which you should have found at your seat. When you're done, we simply ask that you put it right back on the same seat that you found it at. That way, when our next show comes in behind you, they find a clipboard exactly where it needs to be for them as well. Paper and pencils, you picked those up as you came in. Congratulations. Those are yours to keep, a free souvenir from us to you for our 50th anniversary. That's why the pencils say HB for happy birthday. Keep them, treasure them, cherish them, sell them on eBay as genuine Disney artist used pencils when you're done if you like, because by the time you're done, you will be a Disney artist, so yay, there you go. If you don't want them, that's fine. Just don't leave them on the clipboards, don't throw them in the bushes or the trash. Put them in the recycle bin as you exit, because we can recycle them. That's right, we can shred those pencils, turn them into mulch, and spread them across Disney property in your honor, so they don't go to waste. If you want them, great, keep them, draw with them later, make a grocery list, solve some math problems if that's what you like to do. Go right ahead, those pencils are great for that. But if you don't want them, just toss them in the recycling bin. The last thing that we need is a little bit of inspiration, and that comes from the animals that inspire our classic animated characters. Walt inspired his animators by bringing live animals into the studio for them to study and to learn about, and as much as I would love to bring one of our tigers here into the theater with us, I was told we can't do that. Yeah, I know, because people out there may be allergic to cats. Yeah, and because of those allergies, that is the only reason we would not bring a 250, 300-pound adult tiger and have her sit right up here next to me on stage. So, unfortunately, because of those allergies. But you can still go out to the Maharashi Jungle Trek and see them in person. They are awesome. If you didn't know, yes, we have tigers here at Disney's Animal Kingdom that you can see, and they are so cool. But instead of bringing them here, why don't we take you to them virtually up on screen? Take a look.
Meet the Sumatran Tigers. At first, they may all look similar, but you can tell them apart by their stripes. As cubs, tigers are born with a stripe pattern that's different from one another, like fingerprints. Keepers say the tigers also have distinctive personalities, making it a fun challenge just to keep up with them. The keepers make sure all the animals have the opportunity to exhibit behaviors like they do in the wild. A cat may be laid back one moment and then springs into action, pouncing and pulling on the bungee. And as you can see, once is never enough.
Tigers have a really strong sense of smell, and they like to smell lots of different things. This perfume smells like it was probably from the 70s and in someone's back of their closet for a very long time. It smells horrible to us, but the tigers love it.
The team may use a variety of spices as well.
Whenever cats smell something that they like, they'll open up their mouths and kind of scrunch up their nose. That's because they have scent receptors at the back of their mouth, and that allows them to get an even better smell of that scent that they like.
Interactions with the keepers are also a part of the Tiger's daily to-do list. The cats participate by sitting in a special area, allowing the keepers to get a good overall look at them. Just don't be too slow tossing a meatball, or they will let you know. There are less than 1,000 Sumatran tigers left in the wild, each unique and special. Come to the Maharaja Jungle Trek and visit the tigers to learn more about them, as well as ways you can protect tigers in the wild. Make a good impression by smelling your best, or maybe your worst.
All right, is everybody inspired? Yay, 3 people, awesome. All right, a couple last minute things before we get started. Should you need anything during the middle of the show, maybe your pencils break, your paper spontaneously combusts, you are getting frustrated and upset, and you want crayons and coloring sheets instead. Or maybe your kids want crayons and coloring sheets instead. It's not just for crying adults. Just raise your hand. One of my friends around the theater will be happy to come by and bring those out to you. If you need to exit early for any reason or use the restroom for those reasons, head to the left toward the illuminated sign that says exit, conveniently spelled just like exit, because it leads you to the exit. Yeah, just go through that animal tunnel, that'll take you to the exit, and restrooms are also in that direction if you need them. All right, with that said, let's get started and let us draw the cute, the lovable, the incredibly bouncy Tigger. And we're going to start by giving him some eyes. Sitting right here above the horizontal line, right in the middle of our circle, we're going to draw these nice little ovals. Think of them like a peanut M&M. Just sitting to the side of that center line. Very lightly put in this nice big oval shape. Really light, and then once you find the shape that you like, you can go over it and darken it in a little bit. You may have noticed that your pencils do not have erasers on them, so do not worry about making mistakes. If you do make a mistake, that's fine. You can find erasers outside of this building in the wild somewhere. Feel free to erase to your heart's content. But we only have a limited amount of time, so we do not have time to erase while we're here. So don't worry about it. Just keep it light, have fun, make mistakes. It's okay. I'm going to do the same thing over here. Big oval shape for his eyes. And of course, Tigger is not a tiger. He is a plush animal. He is actually one of Christopher Robin's favorite toys. Christopher Robin is the real son of author A.A. Milne, and the characters in the storybooks are based on him and his actual toys. You can find those at the New York Public Library. Yeah, the original toys of Eeyore, Tigger, Piglet, and Pooh Bear are preserved at the library for anyone to come by and see. At the top of the sign, I'd like to add a little twinkle, a little sparkle there. It makes them look a little more lifelike. But in reality, Tigger's eyes are just these little buttons. And Tiger's eyes are actually going to be really big, and their vision is phenomenal. They have excellent eyesight, and their eyesight actually gets better at night in the dark. They have patches of white fur around their eye that reflect moonlight and starlight back into their eyes to enhance that vision. And they also have a membrane behind their retina called the tapetum lucidum that reflects light back several times through the eye, again enhancing that night vision. Above his eye, we're going to add a little curve here to give him a little hint of an eyelid. This little curve right above each eye. We can also put a little curve under his eye. And give him a little bit of a lower eyelid so he can show emotions and expressions. That's one of the things that Tigger is really great at, is showing these phenomenal facial expressions. Tigers, not so much. But Tiggers are really good at that. It's one of the things that Tiggers do best. So we've got his eyes. Let's go ahead and give him a nose. Sitting right here at the top of this curved guideline, between it And the bottom of our circle, we are going to draw a very large circle. And keeping it nice and light, make this nice big circle right in here. And I'm going to keep it really light because at the bottom, his nose is slightly pinched in, so it kind of makes a very slight V shape. So about a third of the way up, just really light. And I'm going to kind of flatten out the bottom of his nose just a little tiny bit. Just kind of pinch it in and then keep the rest of it nice and round. That'll give us the shape for his nose. Around his nose, I'm going to add some of his stitching. Because, again, he is a plush toy. And so he's got seams where his fabric is stitched together. And so I'm going to start here just a little bit below the guideline right here on his nose, kind of making this very light triangle shape. Coming off of his nose toward that blue line. I'm going to make this look like a letter M. Hit that line, bounce down a little bit, again kind of parallel to the curve of our nose there. Come down a little bit and then bring it back up to that line. And then curve it just a little bit past the edge of our circle. And keeping it really, really light. You get this nice little letter M shape. And do the same thing on this side. Bounce it right off of that line. Bring it back. And just a little bit past the edge of the circle. Because this seam is going to run into the side of his head, which we haven't drawn in yet. So let's go ahead and do that next. At the end of our blue line, the one right underneath of his eyes, I'm going to curve to the next blue guideline right here. And I'm going to curve it in almost to the edge of our circle. It's going to get pretty close. And then we're going to swing down all the way toward the bottom and curve it in toward that lowest little hash mark. So we're going to give Tigger's head the shape of what kind of looks like a light bulb. And keeping it nice and light as we just kind of sort them out for right now. In animation, that's the same way that animators draw. You'll sketch everything out really light, lay in the features and the shapes, and then you'll go in and put in the details, and then when you're happy with it, you finally go over it and darken it in. That's how you draw stuff without an eraser. You don't worry about getting everything right. As long as it's light and messy, you can make any changes, fix anything up, and make it look like you knew what you were doing all along. And we'll just do the same thing over here on this side. Doing that nice big, looks like a big light bulb now. And if you need to, you can extend that line till it touches the side of his face. And make mine a little bit more even, so I'm just going to change that up a little bit. Maybe round out those corners. So there's his seam on this side. Do the same thing over here. Round out corners a little bit. And now we have those two seams. Along the top, right here next to the nose, I'm going to add some stitches. Just 1, 2 little stitches on each side. And then we can add his smile. So right here at the bottom of the letter M, just a little bit above the corner, I'm basically going to draw the shape of the nose a little bit bigger. I'm going to start right here, I'm going to end right about here, and I'm just going to stay parallel to the curve of the nose all the way around. It kind of comes in about halfway between the nose and this one, so I'm going to make mine a little bit lower. And now give us the shape of that nice big smile. Underneath of his smile, we're going to add his lower lip. We're going to have a nice little letter U shape coming down to our little hash mark there. Think of it like a hammock, and curving out from our smile, and swinging right back up. Now we've got his nose, we've got his smile. Going to add another seam, just darken in that center line right between the nose and the top of his mouth. And if you're happy with the shape of his head, you can also go around and darken that in. Give him a nice big chin. Now we've got the shape for Tigger's face. We can go ahead and finish up the top of his head. From this line, again, keeping it nice and light, I'm just going to curve right up to the top of our circle. And the same thing, just curve it right into the top of that circle. And we're going to add the patch of beige-colored fabric that goes around Tigger's eyes, kind of mimicking that patch of white fur around the eyes of real tigers. I'm going to start right below our little wrinkles there, and just above the top of our nose. Kind of almost right above a little bump in our M shape. Make a nice little curve right under here. And I'm going to swing it up to the edge of our circle. So you kind of make this nice little triangle shape on each side. And do the same thing over here. And the original cartoon, Tigger, was animated by one of Disney's legendary 9 Old Men Milt Kahl, who also animated Shere Khan in the Jungle Book. So really good at animating tigers and tigers. And his little eye patch there. And we're going to add something that tigers are known for. Probably their most impressive feature, expressive eyebrows, right? That's what tigers are known for. They're amazing. No, they don't have expressive eyebrows. But he's an animated character, and we want him to be able to show emotions and expressions. So for Tigger, we are going to give him some expressive eyebrows, although they probably are technically his stripes, at least 2 of his stripes, but they function as eyebrows. So I'm going to start with the little letter V, right at the top center of his head. And I'm going to curve down just a little bit past our little eye patch there on each side. From the bottom of that V, I'm going to swing it out this way. And from the top of that letter V, and connect them together. So I got this nice little triangular shaped eyebrow. We'll do the same thing over here on this side. Tigger is great at showing emotions and expressions. A lot of that comes from his voice actor, Paul Winchell, who was Tigger's voice actor for many, many years. The new Tigger is one of the most prolific voice actors in Hollywood. You may have heard of him. His name is Jim Cummings. He's also the voice of Winnie the Pooh, as well as Ed the Hyena, Ray the Firefly, and just numerous other Disney characters, as well as other animated characters throughout Hollywood. He's known as the man of 1,000 voices. And Tigger is just one of many characters that he voices. So now you've got some nice big expressive eyebrows for our Tigger, spelled T-I-G-G-R, in case you wanted to spell it. And now we need to give him some ears. And his ears are going to use these 2 little hash marks over on the sides. So just a little bit above our guideline here. I'm going to start kind of right at the eyebrow. And I'm going to curve right out to just inside the end of that little blue line. The bottom of his ear actually lines up right where our circle meets the curvy line across the top of his nose. So if you want to go straight out from there, that kind of marks where the bottom of his ear is going to go. And we're going to swing it around to this big backwards letter J and bring it right up into the side of his head. Kind of like a big C shape also works pretty well. There's the shape of his ear. You can do the same thing on the other side. And it's coming right off of that eyebrow, just inside the end of that line. Swing it around. And that gives us the shape of his ear. Right at the blue line, you can draw the same curve right underneath to show the fold in his ear. Tigger's ears are made out of rubber. You know the Tigger song? The wonderful thing about Tiggers is Tiggers are wonderful things. Their tops are made out of rubber. Their bottoms are made out of springs. They're bouncy coffee, etc., etc. So, rubbery ears. And actual tiger's ears, though, are not rubbery, but they are able to rotate up to 180 degrees. And they can rotate individually. So one ear could be facing perfectly straight ahead, the other ear turned 180 degrees, pointing straight back, allowing them to hear things in two different directions at the same time. So now you've got his ears, you've got the outside part of the ear, you've got the inside part of the ear. The last thing we need to add, actually two little things we need to add: whiskers and stripes, because tigers are known for their stripes. So for Tigger, we're going to put those stripes above this little M shape here on the side of his face, above that little seam line. We'll put 3 stripes on each side. Nice little triangular shapes. Some can be a little bigger, some can be a little smaller. Put 3 stripes on each side, and you can shade those in. And those stripes also help to hide any little mistakes you may have made. So that's a fun thing about those. And put another 3 stripes on this side. You don't necessarily have to be perfectly symmetrical either. Have a little fun with it. Stripes there on the sides of his cheeks. If you want to lightly shade the inside of his mouth, you can do that too. Just to make it stand out a little bit. And we'll give him some whiskers. Tigger's got 4 whiskers on each side of his muzzle. 2, 3, and 4. Tigers actually have whiskers all over their body. They're specialized hairs that help them sense their environment. And so they have them on their face, they have them on the back of their legs, on their tails, everywhere. They are covered in whiskers, so they can get a full 360-degree image of what's going on around them as those whiskers brush up against everything as they walk and move. I'll even throw in some whiskers in his ear. On cats, these are known as ear furnishings. They help keep stuff out of their ears. It's thought that they also help in the detection of lower frequency sound. On Tigger, though, it's most likely some stuffing coming out of his ears. You can throw in a couple little hairs in there. And if you want, and the same way we lightly shaded the inside of his mouth, you can lightly shade the orange parts of his fur, which are going to be the tops of his ears and the top of his muzzle here, and cheeks around his eye patch, just to show that's where the orange fur is going to be. And then the beige color is going to be everything underneath, and his nose, of course, being that nice pinkish color. But there you go. It's a very quick sketch of the one, the only Tigger from the many adventures of Winnie the Pooh. So when you are finished with him, make sure you put your name on there. Sign it, date it, be proud of him. When you get home, hang him on a fridge. Yours, your neighbors, Lowe's, Home Depot's, Best Buy, hang him on a fridge somewhere. head out to the Maharaja Jungle Trek and see the tigers in person for yourself here at Disney's Animal Kingdom, because tigers are incredibly endangered, one of the most endangered animals on the planet. Primary reason for that is, of course, humans are invading their habitat. And one of the biggest problems is palm oil plantations. If you look at the list of ingredients on stuff that you buy, you'll see palm oil is a big component of a lot of it. So you can go to websites like the Cheyenne Mountain Zoo, and they can give you a list of products that use responsibly sourced palm oil, which means they're not cutting into tiger habitat and setting up these palm oil plantations that are reducing the room for tigers in the wild. Just something simple like that, to find things that are going to be tiger friendly instead of products that are going to take habitat away from tigers. But there you go. When you're finished, take them home with you. Make sure you take your personal belongings, leave the clipboards again at the seats where you found them, and enjoy the rest of your afternoon here at Disney's Animal Kingdom. Have a great day. Bye-bye, everybody.
Thank you all for joining us in the animation experience at Conservation Station. Please gather your personal belongings before exiting, and remember to take your artwork with you. We hope you enjoy the rest of your visit at Rafiki's Planet Lodge and the rest of your adventure here at Disney's Animal Kingdom. Goodbye.